Good afternoon, beginning writers. I'm excited about the fact that you're interested in writing a book. In fact, these next 5 blog posts will be dealing with some writing tips for beginners. So we will actually be talking about 5 writing tips for beginners in the next few blog posts. Now, utilizing these 5 writing tips have helped me within the space of 3 years' time to be able to write 3 books. Actually, if I were to really get down to it and dedicate all my time to writing, I am very confident that I would be able to write a book in 28 days or less. And I know that I could do that. I actually have not done that in 28 consecutive days or less, but I have done it in the equivalent amount of time that it would take to do that. So, we're going to look at these 5 writing tips over the next few days. Now, the first one will inspire you if you think that you are too busy to write a book. And the second tip will give you some great verbal techniques for overcoming writer's block. And the third tip will build on the second and make things even easier. Then the fourth tip will describe an inexpensive tool that will help you reach your word count goals for your rough draft. And the fifth tip is essential for you to be able to get your book started. So today we're talking about tip number 1 of the 5 writing tips for beginners. And that is realize the value of time management. And beyond that, realize the value of 5 minutes. Now, we will see that time management is sort of a misnomer. We can't really manage time. Time is time. Benjamin Franklin said, though, that time is the stuff that life is made of. And that is very true. What you cannot put into a time, you cannot put into life. So, we all have the same amount of time. We have 24 hours each day. That figures out to 168 hours per week. And that also means that each of us has 1,440 minutes every day. And that gives us an astounding 10,080 minutes every week. Now, it's what we do with those minutes that make the deciding factor for our lives. Will we squander those minutes, or will we put them to good use for something productive? Now, here is the secret of using your time in relation to writing. Write in 5-minute segments. You can get a tremendous amount done in writing in small segments, such as 5-minute segments. You can accomplish such a tremendous amount because you have more than 10,000 minutes every week. Let's say you go to the dentist office and you're sitting in the waiting room. Instead of picking up their magazines, you decide to look at your outline and your plan for your book, and you spend 5 minutes working on your book. 5 minutes comes and goes, and they have not called you. You say, okay, I'll start on this next little planned project for 5 minutes. You type, you glance at your watch, and when the 5 minutes are up, then that project is up. Sometimes you will get through early, and you will be adding things, and you will be surprised what comes to you. Now, you may not get through with all that you wanted in the 5 minutes. Then make a note to yourself and stop. Because this is for your rough draft. That is the secret to getting your book done in 28 days or less. Maybe you determined to use your waiting time to your best advantage. You have planned your book in 5-minute writing projects. You begin to write. You keep your eye on your watch. After 5 minutes, no one has called you back again to that office. And you start on the next project. Still no one has called you. You even finish it, and you get another 5-minute project completed. Now, more than likely, you will not get your entire book done by just using waiting time, but you could get a lot of it done even then. Aside from that, you may have to carve out a time if you work from home. You may have to designate a special place for writing. You may have to put a little sign on the door that says, "I'm working." That will be a gentle reminder that you should not be disturbed unless the need to talk to you is extremely important. You may also find good times for solitude. You may get up a half hour earlier than the rest of the family, or you may go to bed a half hour later, or you might do both. If you get up a half hour earlier and you go to bed a half hour later, then you would just have to find another 15 to 30 minutes in order to be able to finish the rough draft of your book in 28 days or less. Because an hour and 15 minutes or an hour and a half a day will allow you to get that first draft done in less than 4 weeks for most books. So I'm trying to encourage you to understand that you can write a book. And the first tip for getting our books done deals with that major hurdle that we must jump in order to get our book from our heads to paper. And that key, as we've just discussed, has to do with managing our use of time effectively. We call it time management. Well, I hope you will join me for the other 4 writing tips in this time management or this writing blog. Now we will look at 2 more writing tips that involve verbal techniques to get our books rolling. And then we will look at a device that we can use to help meet our deadlines. And then finally, on the 5th tip, we will deal with something that is perhaps a surprising, but also a major contributor to procrastination. And we will tell you how to get over that. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.